Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Community Foundation's Financial Literacy Connect series. My name is Denise Moore. I'm the Director of Education, and I'm excited to have Tionna Skipper here once again from Delta Community Credit Union, telling us all about the psychology of spending. Hi, Tionna, how are you doing?
Hi, Denise. I'm doing good. Now, just before I get started, going to give a little disclaimer. I am not a licensed psychologist, obviously, community credit union. Not saying I couldn't be both, but I'm not a licensed psychologist. But this is definitely just based off research we found when we were creating this content when it comes into why do we spend the way that we spend. So, first thing first, why do we spend? Let's talk about our spending choices, right? Because at the end of the day, many factors impact consumer behavior. You ever wonder why you purchase the items that you do? Why are you buying what you're buying? Well, psychologists have found that there are several factors that impact our consumer behavior. And it causes us to make these decisions that are not necessarily in our best interests. These factors may lead to decisions that we just are making on impulse, decisions that we are making very, very in a last minute, just because like we're like, hey, I want to buy this, I want to buy this right now. And a lot of times our emotions can have a huge impact on the bottom line. Today, by examining the feelings behind those decisions, controlling the distractions, and researching options, we can begin the process of making the most productive choices possible. And that is what we're here to do today. So I hope you are ready for the ride because we are starting right now. Because in this workshop, we want to focus on understanding why we buy what we buy and what can help us make smarter decisions in the future. Okay. So, love to start this workshop off with a couple of questions. Let's do a little self evaluation. So, we're going to answer these questions really quick, and you can just go ahead and drop them in the chat with some of your answers. This is a safe space, so feel free to share. What type of products and services do you enjoy spending money on? Okay. And I'm going to share as well. Y'all know I love to share with you all. So, we're going to start there. What types of products and services do you enjoy spending money on? Why do you think you enjoy spending money on them? In what ways do you think you are a good spender? What spending habits would you like to change? And how do you think you can change them? So I'll just give you an example. I will go first. Type of products and services I love spending money on. I love spending money on sunglasses, purses. Okay. Why do I enjoy spending money on them? Because those are some of my favorite items to buy. That is why. In what ways do I think I'm a good spender? Because I don't buy the most expensive ones all the time. Okay. Okay, I don't. Okay, somebody says new t-shirts, movies to watch. Yep, those are definitely good ones. What spending habits would you like to change? I would say I feel pretty good about my spending habits, but I say I would like to change, sometimes impulsive buying, and shopping online and just being on my phone for like a whole hour on the website, just scrolling and scrolling and adding stuff to my cart. That's something I would like to change. And how do I think I can change them? Well, I will try not to scroll on my phone for a whole hour, putting things in my cart. Somebody brought up TikTok shopping, something that they want to change. Great. That's a good choice. Shopping online has definitely impacted consumer behavior and how we shop. And so you definitely want to answer those questions when you're thinking about why do you buy what you buy. Okay. So let's talk about advertising, right? The role of advertising. We all are pretty familiar what advertising is, how it works, because just know it's just advertising works by creating that pattern of associations that elicit an emotional connection or response in the intended audience. Ultimately, they're influencing our purchasing decisions and often in an unconscious way. That's why they get paid, what they do. That's why the Super Bowl ads are so expensive because they're trying to catch that wide span of people that are watching during that short time span with these, very funny commercials a lot of times. Sometimes they might hit a little emotional response as far as hitting home, something that might be personal to you. This is the reasons why people buy those ads because the purpose of advertising is to get us to buy. So if everybody's watching the Super Bowl and you see such and such, or maybe a Doritos campaign, you're like, oh, you remember that commercial during the Super Bowl? It was kind of funny. And then you're thinking about that product now unconsciously, right? Because these advertising just ultimately just affects our behavior. And so the truth of the matter is you cannot avoid advertising, but you can separate the emotion from value, right? We have to literally think about that subconscious because ultimately, that's what it's hitting for us. That's why you start remembering that commercial, especially when they put like a little catchy song in there and you're like "Dun, dun, dun, dun," and then you're now thinking about the commercial and now you're thinking about the product, right? Okay, so you gotta try to do our best to separate that emotion from the value, and it's a lot of different emotions that can be tied, whether it's something that we desire, something that we fear that may happen, so we want to prevent that. It's nothing but manipulative tactics that influence, us when it comes to advertising. So we're gonna work on, making sure that we're separating that emotion from the value of a product. All right. Oh, somebody's talking about the fear of missing out. I just had this conversation with my colleague, and she was wondering if she should go on this cruise. She was like, it's kind of like FOMO. And I was like, okay, well, ask FOMO, can you afford it? Okay. So definitely be cognizant of just the role advertising plays when it comes to your shopping, especially around the holidays or Memorial Days when you're getting extra messages and extra marketing emails from some of your favorite retailers, okay? Because a lot of times when we perceive an ad for a brand, we're making an instant judgment of its emotional value, right? A lot of people are talking right now about Rihanna's Fenty hair that's about to be released, okay? And they're like comparing it to her other products, and you're like, well, obviously they already feel that Rihanna makes great products, Fenty Scare, Fenty Makeup. So why wouldn't Fenty Hair be another great product? Okay, because it's tied to the emotional value of how we feel about her other ones. We're positive. We're like, oh, Fenty is this, it's warm, it's sexy, it's cool, it's successful. And so now we're subconsciously conditioned to invest in that brand because it shows positivities, body empowerment, different looks, different colors, every skin shade, right? And we're like, we love everything that she's doing to include everyone. And her ads is all about inclusivity. So we're like, yes, we love this brand. And so that's what it does. It's making it's changing our attitude and how we feel about, which ultimately changes our behavior and makes us want to purchase Fenty. And I must say, I am a Fenty I'm a Fenty user, so you got to be careful in regards to like those emotions. And when she sends me a new email and she looks all nice in the campaign, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how the kids are doing, as if I know her. Like she's like, it's like she's your best friend. You're like, oh, I wonder how the kids doing. Yeah, let me go ahead and purchase this. No, we got to make sure we separate our emotion from that value, right? And the next thing is especially when it comes to social media, TikTok, Instagram, X, Twitter, X, you know, um, is that feeling of keeping up with the Joneses. What are they doing over there? What is that person doing? How can I'm trying to keep up, with them. So we got to make sure we're not falling victim to those social media ads because we're seeing, such and such endorse this product. Right. We got to give ourselves a cooling period before we're making those purchases. That is the key tip here. Give yourself a 48-hour cooling period before you make a purchase after somebody endorsed it and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. Because financial psychologists say the drive to splurge and keep up with the Joneses is rooted more in psychology than it is in the actual lack of financial skills. Okay. It's like that animal brain thinking that we need to fill a void or desire to simply impress can drive people to irrationally overspend or just buy extra things that they already have at home, these material items, just to keep up. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to have nice things. That's understandable, okay? I like nice things, right? But you can't win if you're just trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing, right? We don't, because a lot of times we don't want to have what's less than others, or, owning something makes us feel successful when you have that new bag that just came out or those new shoes, right? Because when you're looking at what everyone else is doing, then you start just doing it out of nowhere because you didn't need to spend that money, right? And a lot of times it can even be events and festivals and that FOMO feeling like that you don't didn't need or you could not afford going to that Chris Brown concert, but you're going because everybody else was going and you wanted to keep up with them and being able to record it and talk about it, right? So that's another thing. It's not always just the material items, it's also events, especially here in Atlanta. There's so many events going on. There's this party, this event, R&B karaoke, R&B seafood, um, tacos and tequila, the wine festival, the mimosa festival, right? And you're trying to keep up because this person's going to this one, and that one, and now you're wanting to go to this one, and that one, but you can't afford it, and now you're overspending because you felt the pressure to make that purchase just so you didn't feel left out, right? Because, like I said, buying luxuries isn't bad, but you have to focus on what you can afford. Ask yourself, is the motivation for me to buy this item, is it extrinsic? Am I focusing on financial gain and the appearance, the social popularity for when I post this or make that Instagram reel or TikTok in regards to that event I went to, right? And seeking that acceptance and validation from everyone else outside yourself. Ask yourself, is that why you're buying that item? Right? You see that a lot of times. Yeah, somebody says they see it a lot of times when they see people go on trips, right? You're like, that person just went to this country and that country. But guess what? You don't know that person's financial situation, right? That person could have been able to go on that trip to the Maldives, to Thailand, to Tokyo, and you don't know that they have huge debt balances and they have hardly any savings for the future. So that is what we are asking you to consider when you're thinking about making purchases just to keep up with others. Because those who try to live that high life at the expense of savings by incurring debt actually decrease their chance of actually attaining that lifestyle because you just been spending money to keep up with it when it wasn't what you could actually afford. So sometimes what we like to say is, if you do not have the cash to buy something right away, start saving instead of putting it on your credit card. Right? That's another thing that we do, just trying to keep up. We're just like, oh, I'll go ahead and put it on my credit card. Then you're not able to pay that credit card bill. Now you're getting charged interest. Now you're paying more for that item, which is why you're incurring that debt. So, like I said, you never know someone's financial situation, right? So, a few tips to kind of help us, keep us in line with that is, get clear on your own values. All right. Think about what's causing you to feel compelled to keep up and wanting to do, um, catch up with other people, and then plan for things that actually make you happy. Create a budget, like we talked about last week, and set aside monthly money on a monthly basis so you can purchase those items that you like. And then also communicate your financial goals to your friends, to your loved ones, so they know and can also help to keep you accountable. All right. I can tell you all right now, my phrase for the month of June and July, I told my friends, if it's if it's not free, don't invite me or you won't see me. Okay. That is my phrase. So they know, they are aware. Though. Send Tionna nothing that's gonna cost her $30 to attend this event or go out here and $40 for this. She's not coming. Don't invite me if it's not free. That is my phrase, okay? That is my phrase for the summer. Don't look this way. If it costs money, honey, right? So just make sure you're aware of those things, right? Now, because we're talking about keeping up with the Joneses and why, we're doing that, it all goes into your spending habits. Spending is often made out of habits, whether it's getting that coffee every morning, lunch, and it's also made out of brand loyalty. I think this is one of the biggest things that hit me as I was learning more and researching more in regards to our spending habits is that brand loyalty, right? Because one of the most powerful things you can do for your finances to build good habits. Have you ever noticed why or ask yourself why do you shop with a certain brand? Because a habit is that an acquired behavior pattern that is followed so regularly, it's almost involuntarily, right? Like, for example, if you're going to work every morning and you decide to get Starbucks instead of getting the coffee at the office because the coffee at the office is blah. Next thing you know, that becomes a part of your routine, right? Now that is a habit, right? So, something you have to do is examine if those habits are affordable. Track your spending. We talked about this last week, right? So that way you can identify where you're overspending and any previous regrets. So right now, I want everyone to just take time to kind of ask yourself, what are some of your unexamined spending habits? I'm gonna take a few minutes here. You can take a time to put those in the chat, right? Ask yourself that right now. And it's very hard. Okay, somebody said brand loyalty issues, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Coach, spend like some of your those are some of your spending habits. Think about, how your parents or loved ones have even influenced you. I still like I realize when I'm grocery shopping, like why do I buy this brand and not this brand? It's because that's what I grew up on. That's the brand I was raised on, right? So this is what I know. And so I stay loyal to that brand because I'm familiar with it, right? I don't go with the knockoff brand when it's ultimately they probably taste the exact same, you know? So it's kind of hard to really think about those spending habits because you're so used to them, right? They're so regular, like you're not even thinking about it. Somebody says getting food when they know they could cook, because if you had a long work day, you're so used to just picking something up. It then became an habit, right? So, an important part of forging better money habits is not just understanding what you spend, but why you spend the way that you do, right? So, that is where we are. We're trying to determine if these needs are real or perceived, right? So last week we created our budget. I hope you did y'all create y'all budget. All right. So we create a budget, right? We have our spending plan. Now we separated the needs versus the wants, right? That's what we did. So determine if some of those needs are real or perceived. Okay. Is it something that you actually really do need to survive, to live day to day? Or is it something that you perceive that you need? Okay. So these are things. And then you want to review your expenses to see where those spending leaks are and these bad habits. These are your bad habits areas. And then we track those expenses, right? We talked about tracking our spending. Okay. This is gonna kind of help us forge better spending habits, especially when we can automate some of these things. That way we're not at the store or online when it comes to paying for something and we end up getting something extra. Because you got to remember that wants can mimic needs. Because, like, for example, somebody talk about where they grocery shop. Do you need to grocery shop at those places? Do you try to shop around to see if the price is somewhere else for that same item that you're looking for? Is it cheaper somewhere else? Like we need to eat, right? You put food in your budget, but do you need to eat out? Do you need to eat at a restaurant? Like, like somebody put in the chat, getting food when you know you could cook. It's definitely some things we have to consider. So you want to examine all purchases for whether it is a real need or perceived need that can be adjusted. That is when we're thinking about when we're talking about our spending habits. And the process into changing those, it just comes with practice. Practice, practice, practice. It just takes time. It's because you're so used to getting that Starbucks once a week or on this day. That's a spending habit. How much money have you spent going there once a week? How much does that cost you a year? Those are things we're gonna, you definitely have to consider when you're thinking about why are you buying that? All right. So one of my favorite spending habits that we always like to discuss is impulse buying. But before we get to that, I love this little chart here. I'm just going to show briefly. Is that you like to ask yourself this question: is it on sale? Yes, no. Okay. If it is on sale, do you already have one? Yes. Does yours work? Yes. Don't buy it. Love this chart. All right. Is it on sale? No. Is there a generic version that costs less? Yes. We'll find that one and try this again. Okay. So it just kind of goes through it like, should you buy it? Don't buy it. That is definitely, you know, a great thing. For example, it says, all right, is there a generic version that costs less? Let's say we say no. Does it cost more money than you have? Yes. Is it a house? No. Don't buy it. Right? I love this chart. So this is definitely some questions you should ask yourself when you're looking at items that are on sale. And we're going to get into it, right? Because a lot of us fall victim to impulse buying. And that's one of the many habits that many consumers share. Because we do it because it's exciting. It's an impulse purchase. It's an unplanned decision to buy a product or service made just before, right? You ever go to that grocery store and you're walking through that one aisle with all the snacks and the drinks, and you're like, oh, let me pick up these gummy bears or these gummy worms. Impulse buy, impulse purchase, because you didn't need it at all. So, and then the stores are encouraging it. That's why they are changing the setup the way that they do, is because they want you to impulse buy. Research shows that the longer a person stays in the store, the more likely he or she is to make an impulse purchase, right? Especially if you're in the grocery store. I feel like the grocery store is the top number one place for impulse buying, right? Because you're walking through the store and they're like, oh, this is on sale. This is 5 for 10. This is buy one, get one. And now you're buying extra stuff that you didn't need. Yeah. And somebody said Amazon that's like, hey, did you forget this? And you're like, I did. Let me buy that. No, no. You did not need to buy that. Okay. And sometimes when you buy that buy one, get one free, you bought it because it was buy one, get one free, but you didn't need the first one. So these are things that you have to consider. This is the psychology of spending. So to help prevent impulse buying, we actually to create a list and stick to it. All right. Create a list and stick to it. You got to create that list before you go grocery shopping, and you got to stick to it. I can tell you the last time I went grocery shopping, I did not stick to my list. I stick to it. I stuck to it 80%. And then I had saw those little strawberry roll pies that I know from my childhood. I'm like, I haven't had that in a long time. Let me get some of those. I didn't need that. Impulse buy. But you got to create that list and stick to it. So to help do that, right? Try to avoid browsing as well. Free samples. Don't try it. Because then you try it, now you like it, now you want it. No. Avoid free samples. Avoid trying on clothes just to see how it will look on. Because now you kind of like how it looks now that you put it on, make you want to buy it. Don't do it. And know that salespeople are also they're there to encourage you to buy. You know, if you see that they always pick the more expensive one because they are encouraging you to buy. Someone said like the lists do help a lot with curbing impulses. Exactly. You got to create your list, but you have to stick to it. But then they said, as long as you don't see anything yummy. You see, no, nothing yummy. Leave those things alone, right? Because in order to avoid this impulse purchase, you got to either stick to that list or, avoid browsing, avoid looking at the sale signs because they're bright and they're in our faces. Stick to your list. And a lot of times when it comes to online shopping, give yourself a 30-day or even a 7-day rule. Give yourself some time to think, to see if you really need that item before you make that purchase. The next one we're going to go into is bargain hunting. All right. We love buying things on sale. I love buying things on sale. I love a good sale, right? Because looking for sales is a great cost saving measure, right? But it's only great when it's for products that we were already planning to buy. Okay? Because smart shoppers, like me, I'm a smart shopper. I look for sales on items that I'm already planning to buy. I have a list of items that I want for my home. So these are items I'm already planning to buy. So if those items go on sale, then yes, that's a great deal. That's a great cost saving measure. But if I'm buying something that I wasn't planning on buying because it's on sale, bad spending habit. I'm not really saving any money because I just bought it because it was on sale. Somebody said if something we need is on sale 2 for 10, should we buy the two or just the one? Great question. Okay. The thing about it is that was something you were already planning to buy, right? But the question is, do you need the second one? Because you're technically still paying an additional $2 to $3, right? And every little bit counts. Every little bit adds up. So that's something, you have to pay attention to as well. Because, like I said, you're not saving money if you buy something just because it is on sale. You have to purchase something you were already planning to buy. Now, if that item is on sale, okay, because you were already planning on buying it. A lot of times, still, you have to focus on the actual cost, not just the savings. All right. If you were going to buy it anyway, let me tell you the best bargain: not buy. The best bargain is to not buy if you weren't going to buy it anyway. Okay. Now, is anybody feeling like I'm reading them? I'm so sorry. I'm just letting y'all know what it is. Here, ladies, I think this one is for you. So it's just for my guys too. It's for my fellas too. Oh, don't we love it? My friend talks about it all the time. She's like, I had to do a little retail therapy. Retail therapy is just another emotionally driven cause of spending, especially when you're stressed, right? Because you're going to go relieve stress, okay? So you have to be, prepared. Many people shop when they are depressed or bored to kind of cheer themselves up. Someone said they call it helping the economy. No, you may be helping the economy, but you are harming yourself in your own wallet, okay? Because that rush is temporary, all right? Research shows that shopping does increase the level of chemicals in the brain that regulate happiness. We get happy when we buy stuff. You're like, oh, I just bought this new such and such. I can't wait to start. You get happy about that. But although retail therapy may actually help improve your mood, beware that the happiness is only short lived, okay? It's only short lived. And the problems that result from overspending can cause more guilt and more stress, especially if an emergency happens, right? So you have to be prepared for those. And then if you want to do a little retail therapy, shop for items you were already planning on purchasing instead of something new. Okay? Put them on hold and try to determine if you truly want it. Even when you're retail therapy shopping, especially online, because online shopping gets us all the times, put it in the cart. Let it sit there. And when we feel a little bit better, to determine if we truly want it when we're like in a better spirit, right? Also, sometimes you can just window shop. There's nothing wrong with window shopping. Just act like you're buying it, even though you're not, okay? But in order to help improve your mood, instead of trying retail therapy, let's engage in some mood boosting activities instead. Take a walk, go outside. It's nice outside now, right? Go exercise, go ride a bike. There's a lot of free activities. There's free yoga in the park sometimes in different locations in Atlanta. Try that to help boost your mood instead of spending money. Okay. But if needed, you may want to seek professional help if it's really having a negative impact and you cannot control your shopping. All right. I feel like my homegirl, she may need some professional help because she retail therapy all the time. She's fine, but she just loves shopping. She's shops. All right. The next one is a spending habit that we all definitely probably have fallen victim to. It's money as love. Mistakenly thinking spending is love for our family members, for our loved ones. Sorry. I just saw someone said, what if we make a board shopping budget? Nope. You have one budget, okay? I don't think board shopping is a line item that you want to put in there. So I'm gonna decline that. All right. So money is love. Let's get into it. A lot of times, especially, we often try to show our love by spending money. An example of this is like you get paid, it's payday, you take your family out to eat every payday. Just to show that you love them. But periodically, that can possibly hurt you. How many times have you done that? How much money has that cost you, right? So a lot of times, even us acting as an ATM can do more harm than good. You know, if your family members, especially like your little siblings, that's what gets you. If they always come to you like, "Hey, sis, can I borrow $20? I need this. Can I borrow $50? I need this." Right? And you're just always cashing out. One, you are that spending money out of your own budget in that expense categories, but you're also not showing them the way in order for them to be financially independent and on their own. Okay? So periodically buying gifts or spending money on loved ones is perfectly normal. However, if you are draining your wallet trying to show love through buying and purchasing multiple items, that can be an issue because not only does trying to buy love not work from a relationship point of view, but you shouldn't have to sacrifice your financial health for others, right? Because are you financially stable when you're buying those items, when you're buying those gifts, when you're taking someone out to eat? Where are your finances at? Okay. Are you feeling guilty about something that you did? So you want to go buy them something? No, address your problems head on instead. Go talk about it. All right. We don't love having hard conversations, but having hard conversations can save us money. And then also, if you need to buy a gift, keep in mind that most people prefer a thoughtful gift than to an expensive one. Right? I have a friend, his birthday just passed, and I gotta send him his birthday gift. His birthday gift is some socks. Because I know he needs some socks, and he always talks about how he needs socks and he doesn't have socks, and how somebody should buy him socks. Thoughtful gift, okay, compared to me going to buy him some cologne or something like that. Okay. Someone said hard conversations while shopping is sometimes easier, though. Easier for your wallet? I don't think so. I don't think so. Right. So these are things you just have to consider when you are used to your loved ones definitely coming to you, or even if you're used to making sure, like, hey, let me show you this. Okay. Because some people mistake the love language receiving gifts as being materialistic. It's not the material items that's important for someone with this love language, but the thought behind it. It can be the smallest things. I remember I told one of them, I told my ex-boyfriend, like, he used to be like, "Well, I don't have the money for it." I was like, "It's not the money. I was like, it's the small things that matter." And that is definitely very true. The small things do matter. All right. Because one thing we need to focus on is spending versus saving. You have your present self versus your future self, right? So we often put those immediate desires first because that instant gratification is more appealing. And then saving is delayed. All right. That means your present self is in control. But you're going to kind of put your future self in control. Prioritize saving today. Automate. Okay. Sooner you save, the more you'll have. All right. Because a lot of times we do, but you always hear focus on the present, and you should in some instances. But you also need to think and be sensible in regards to the future. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Be sensible when you're thinking about the future but it's staying in the present. Let's say you have $100 in your pocket right now. You can either spend it on a fancy meal or I don't know about fancy. That's probably like an average meal these days. But or you can go put it into savings. Which one are you doing? Naturally, choosing the meal is more appealing, but it can be because it can be especially hard to save for things that are far off, especially like retirement. Like you're like I'm 25, I'm 24. I'm not thinking about retirement, but you should be because tomorrow does come. And if you tell yourself the same thing, next thing you know, many people don't save enough to meet their goals. Okay, so you have to make a concerted effort to place the savings in the forefront. All right, think about your future self in the present. Right. So there's just some things we want to consider in regards to saving versus purchasing and buying right now. All right. Now let's talk about your favorite thing, your credit card. Let's talk about your credit card. Okay, because people tend to spend more when you're using your credit card, when you're buying that item because you want the points, the Sky Miles. I'm a Sky Miles queen. I love trying to get my miles, right? Because you're getting something today and then you're paying it later. But the problem is, if you can't pay off that balance later, you'll pay interest. That pay later mentality, especially now that we have Klarna, Afterpay, all of those things. Have you ever missed a payment? If you haven't, great. But if you do you see how much interest you are charged for missing that payment? How much more you're paying for that one item that you bought with that pay later mentality? Because now you're paying that interest, especially on a credit card, and that balance is carrying over. So somebody said I make it a point to pay off my balance so I don't have to deal with interest. That is the goal. That is key here, right? You don't want to pay more for the item by having that pay later mentality. Only charge on a credit card what you can pay off each month. All right? Because you don't want to carry over that balance for and then get charged interest. And that's why you were tracking all those purchases on that budget. Okay? And sometimes using a debit card or cash for purchases, if you have a problem with credit card debt, is a more sustainable solution than putting things off on that credit card and paying it off later because you're going to be rebuilding your credit once you are on solid financial footing. All right. Yeah, somebody said they also use their credit card on only at certain stores instead of everything. Or you can just use your credit card for certain reasons, things you're going to pay for. For example, gas. You're going to have to buy gas. If you had the cash, you're going to buy gas, right? So you have a credit card just for gas if you're looking to help build your credit and use that credit card to pay for your gas purchases and then pay your credit card off because you were going to pay for gas anyways, right? That's something you need in order to get around. So that is like a certain purchase or item that you can put on a credit card because you can pay it off each month because you need gas. If you had the cash on you, you would put the cash in the gas tank. So you can do the same thing with the credit card. All right. So just be careful when you're using, credit cards to make purchases because you just want to be able to ensure that you are able to pay off that full balance. So one asks, should you have multiple credit cards to build credit? You do not have to have multiple credit cards to build credit. And we're going to get into that more in our next present workshop next week, talking about our credit score, because the biggest component of building a good credit score is payment history, paying your bills on time, paying the credit card on time. You can do that with one credit card. You don't have to have multiple, right? In order to build good credit. Because credit cards wants to see that you're able to pay that credit card off on time. So no, you do not have to have multiple credit cards to build good credit. You can have one, or you can have multiple as long as you know how to use them wisely. Okay? Because also sometimes when you have multiple available limits, then you're maxing out your credit cards. That's what you want to avoid. If you're able to spend your credit cards wisely, then you'll be good when it comes to building credit because you know how to manage those funds, right? It's not costing you more money having those multiple credit cards. So you can build credit with just one credit card, definitely. All right, so to get back into things, let's just make sure we are a conscious consumer. All right. Now we're asking ourselves these questions. You just attended this psychologist spending presentation today. Now you have these questions. Will I really use this product or service? What are my motives for making this purchase? You know, do I own anything else that provides the same use? Okay. What are the financial and emotional costs of the purchase? Can I really afford it? Can you really afford it? Right? Can I get the product or service for less somewhere from somewhere else? I'm a big fan of shopping around, because it makes you a conscious consumer. Instead of just buying something, take a look around. Make sure, I'm going to use this product or service. I know why I'm buying it. Is it an emotional trigger? No, I actually need this, right? Never shop when you are feeling emotionally upset because then you're just purchasing a whole bunch of stuff, especially on Amazon, to overcome that mood or behavior. You know, that's why a lot of people go shopping after a meal because it's kind of like, I'm happy, I just ate. And so you're in a good and clear mood, right? And there is evidence that shopping when you feel low can make you spend more. So, hey, ask yourself these questions now before you purchase items, right? Before you buying. You are now going to be a conscious consumer. You're a consumer that's going to make sure you're making purchases for the right reasons, right? Instead of just impulsively buying or bargain hunting and just buying something because it says it's on sale, but was it really on sale? Questions that need answers, all right? But again, I thank you all so much for joining us today. Just remember that Delta Community Credit Union offers a free financial counseling service through our third party partner Balance that is now accessible to you for attending this workshop. Just let them know that you have attended this workshop today. They can help with student loans, questions, home buying questions. They have articles and toolkits in regards to budgeting, credit report reviewing, debt management, all there. You can even call in and definitely feel free to ask me any questions in regards to Balance. I used Balance when I was purchasing my home. So definitely is a great resource for you to use. And thank you all again. If you are interested in becoming a member at Delta Community Credit Union and you live in the Metro Atlanta area, scan the QR code and it'll take you right to our site. But I appreciate you all joining me once again for part 2 of the Connect series for the psychology of spending. I hope you have learned the questions to ask yourself before purchasing these items and buying items the next time you go into Target for one item. I hope you leave out with just that one item instead of 10, right? So thank you all again for joining me today. Denise, thank you for having me. And I hope you all definitely were able to take something home with you.
Thank you once again. And thank you everyone for watching this and being a part of our series. And we can't wait to see you next week. Bye.